Hey everyone, Andrew back again and welcome to another video, and today I'm here with my top 20 horror remakes. This is part of the top 20 for 2020. It's been a while since I've participated in one of these lists, but I do quite enjoy a lot of remakes, so yeah, I decided to talk a little bit about my top 20 horror remakes. So obviously the top 20 for 2020, everyone knows, was created by Jason and Joe, and I'll leave links to both of their channels in the description box below, so please check them out if you haven't already. Anyway, with that being said, let's get on with the list. First up at number 20 we have The Last House on the Left. I think this is a really good modernisation of the original, and I actually prefer this one over the original. Next up at number 19 we have When a Stranger Calls, and just like Last House on the Left, this is another one that I actually prefer a hell of a lot more than the original. Not a fan of the original, but I really like this remake a lot. This one has really good atmosphere and I really like the house that it's set in. Extremely underrated too, so if you've never seen this one, I definitely recommend checking it out. Next up we have Piranha 3D, and this is just good old cheesy fun. I really enjoy this remake a lot. It's super fun. Next up we have Body Snatches from the 90s, and this is another one that I consider to be pretty underrated. Now there's been numerous retellings and movies in regards to the Invasion of the Body Snatchers story, but this one is probably my favourite. I just really like this one for some reason. It's got that classic 90s vibe to it, and I really love the military base setting within this movie too. Coming in at number 16 we have the Night of the Living Dead remake, and probably blasphemy to some people, but I actually prefer this over the George A. Romero original. I really like this version a lot, so that's Night of the Living Dead. Coming in at number 15 is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. Now, it had been years since I'd seen this one, and I actually rewatched this one again fairly recently, and thought it was really awesome. Yeah, I can remember enjoying it a hell of a lot more this time around than with previous viewings. I don't know why. But yeah, this is a really good modern take on the classic original. Next up we have The Fly, and this is one of the few remakes that I've only seen the remake and not the original here. I've never seen the original Fly movie. But this one is an 80s classic, and I love the characters within this movie, and the effects as well are really awesome. So yeah, had to include The Fly on my remake list. Coming in at number 13 is My Bloody Valentine 3D. Now, while this isn't anywhere near as good as the original, at least in my opinion, I think this is a really solid remake. I like this one a lot. The 3D effects are pretty cool, I think, and I really like the kills within this movie quite a bit. So yeah, had to put My Bloody Valentine 3D on the list. Number 12 is Evil Dead. Now, I remember seeing this when it came out. There was a lot of anticipation within the horror community surrounding this particular remake, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I thought it was a great sort of adaptation to the original. Obviously, we had a female kind of as the main focus within this movie. I didn't have a problem with the whole sort of drug rehabilitation addiction storyline. I thought it was pretty fitting for this film, and the gore effects within this movie are fantastic. So yeah, in terms of a remake, this one is great. That's Evil Dead. Coming in at number 11 we have Let Me In, and this is a unnecessary remake, but it is still a remake, and it's the American version of Let the Right One In. Now, I would honestly put both movies on par with each other. Maybe I would have Let the Right One In above this one slightly, but to me they are pretty much on par with each other. I think they are just as good as the other, which is kind of rare when it comes to a remake for me. I either prefer the original or the remake. I don't really have one where I'm kind of like both in a pretty much on par with each other kind of way. But yeah, with this one I do. I think this is really, really good. Like I said, it wasn't necessary, but in terms of a remake, very, very well done. Coming in at number 10, and I know a lot of people will not agree with not only my ranking of this, but even having it in a top 20 remake list. I know Brad definitely won't agree, but I think this is a fantastic remake. I really like the whole AI thing they did with this movie, and yeah, I think they did an absolutely fantastic job, which is saying quite a bit for me because, as a lot of you know, the original Child's Play was the very first horror movie that I ever saw. I've grown up with this franchise, and yeah, I think the remake is really, really good. So that one comes in at number 10 for me. Coming in at number 9 is I Spit on Your Grave. Now, this is obviously a remake to the 70s classic, and I actually prefer this remake a lot over the original film because there's kind of less emphasis on the rape scene and more focus on the revenge. And the revenge scenes within this movie are fantastic. They are pretty hard to watch, very, very brutal, but certainly very fitting for what this female character went through. So, fantastic remake in my opinion, I Spit on Your Grave. Coming in at number 8 is the Hills Have Eyes remake, and this is another one that I prefer over the original. It's been a while since I've seen the original, so I probably am due for a rewatch on that. But in terms of a modern remake, this is definitely one of my all-time favourites. I love the setting within this movie, I love the characters, and this one is pretty brutal as well. So yeah, great remake, The Hills Have Eyes. Coming in at number 7, we have Dawn of the Dead. And I'm sure this is probably going to make a lot of people's top 20 remake list, and for good reason, because it is a fantastic remake. And while it's not as good as the original, and I'm sure pretty much everyone would agree there, I do like how they changed things up a little bit with this remake. They kept the mall setting, but they made the zombies fast moving, which I think is awesome and in a lot of ways a little bit more terrifying. So this is a fantastic remake, Dawn of the Dead. Coming in at number 6 is the Blob remake from the 80s, and this is one of my absolute favourite 80s movies and remakes obviously. But yeah, this one is an absolute classic. I don't really need to talk too much about it. I love this one a lot. Awesome effects within this movie. So yeah, that is the Blob. Okay, so now we're on to the top 5. So coming in at number 5 is the It Remake. And I'm not a fan of the 90s TV miniseries whatsoever. I just can't get into that. But I think this is absolutely phenomenal. The chemistry between the child actors within this film and the child actors themselves is fantastic. And I think this is the best Pennywise as well. Yep, I said it. Love It Chapter 1. I think it is a fantastic remake. So that one sits at number 5. Coming in at number 4 is the Halloween remake, and I bet you no one out there is surprised that this one is rather high on the list. I love this remake. Now, while I'm not a fan of Rob Zombie, I think he did a really, really good job with the Halloween remake. He put his own spin on the Michael Myers character and the story and mythology, and I think it works really, really well. I know a lot of people don't like this film, but I don't care. I like it. I love it, in fact. And I really, really like the whole backstory on young Michael. I think that adds something different to his character. Again, I know a lot of people don't like it, but I don't care. I love the masks within this movie as well. And I love how brutal the second half of the film is when adult Michael returns to Haddonfield. So I think this is an awesome remake. That is Halloween. Coming in at number 3 is John Carpenter's The Thing. This movie is an absolute sci-fi horror classic. I think this movie is incredible, and I'm sure I'm not alone. I know a lot of people will probably have this one very, very high on their lists as well. I don't really need to talk too much about this one, because I'm sure everyone out there has seen it. But yeah, this one definitely had to rank really, really high on the list. Definitely one of the greatest remakes ever made. Coming in at number 2 is the Friday the 13th remake, and I love this remake. I think in terms of a slasher remake, it is pretty much perfect. And as you can obviously tell from my ranking, this is definitely, in my opinion, the best slasher remake from the major franchises. At least I think it is. So well done. I love everything about this one. I think Derek Mears plays an absolutely fantastic Michael in this. I love how he's faster moving. He's a little bit more smarter. And I like the fact that he really uses the environment a lot more. I think the underground sort of hideout or bunker is a really, really cool idea. The kills, I think, are really, really good. And it's just got that awesome Friday the 13th feel to it. It's, in my opinion, kind of like a best of the Friday the 13th franchise, or at least the first 4 movies, and it's certainly kind of my go-to when it comes to this franchise, honestly. So yeah, that's Friday the 13th. Coming in at number 1 is Maniac, and to a lot of you this may not be a surprise that this is ranked number 1 on the list, but before I even started compiling this list, I knew that this would be my number 1, because to me it is. To me, this is honestly the greatest remake ever made. I just think it is absolutely phenomenal. I think Elijah Wood plays an absolutely amazing role as Frank. The soundtrack is phenomenal. I love the POV style of camera work within this film. The kills are absolutely insanely brutal and nasty. And yeah, I just love everything about this film. I think it is, yeah, the greatest remake ever made. A perfect, perfect remake. Do I prefer this to the original? I think so. Or at least it's definitely equal with the original. It's hard to say. Sometimes I prefer this to the original, and sometimes I like them both about the same depending on the day. But anyway, that's not the point. I love the Maniac remake. It is phenomenal, and that's why it is number 1 on my list. Okay, so there you go. That was my top 20 horror remakes. Let me know what you think of my picks in the comments below. Once again, make sure to head on over and check out Jason and Joe's channels if you haven't already. I hope everyone's staying well and safe out there. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching.